I can see it so clearly. That closed door is what catapulted me straight into the thing that I had been dreaming about all along. Hi, my friend, and welcome to the Bounce Back Black Woman podcast. I'm Dell, and with God's help, I've overcome some of the toughest trials in life that I could ever have imagined. Do you find yourself struggling to move beyond a heartbreak or a hardship, asking God, why me? Well, I'm here to help women just like you heal and build the resilience to overcome life's greatest trials. If you long for joy and confidence again, this podcast is for you. So grab your headphones and those hardships. Let's talk. Hey there, my friend, and welcome back to Bounce Back Black Woman. Today, we are diving into something that every single one of us needs in order to bounce back stronger from adversity, and that is confidence. And I'm not talking about the fake it till you make it kind of confidence, not the loudest voice in the room kind of confidence. I'm talking about the kind of confidence that is rooted in clarity. So here's what I've learned in my 60 years of figuring this world out. Calling is confirmed by clarity. When you know who you are, what you bring to the table, and where you shine at your best, you can walk into any room with confidence. And you don't shrink back. You don't second guess yourself. You stand tall in who God created you to be. And so today, I'm going to share 4 different ways that we gain clarity and one powerful truth about those closed doors that might just change the way that you look at rejection. And woven through it all is one of my signature phrases, ruthless intentionality. Because confidence doesn't just happen, my friend. You've got to be ruthlessly intentional about building it. So I'll be honest with you. There have been plenty of rooms in my life where I shrank back. Corporate boardrooms, new churches, new roles, even social spaces, sometimes. I wondered whether or not I even belonged, or if people could see through to the insecurity that I was carrying with me at the time. But what shifted for me was clarity. Clarity about who I am. Clarity about what I bring. Clarity about how I was created. And clarity about what I am not interested or called to do. And that clarity gave me permission to stand up a little bit straighter, speak a little more boldly, and to trust that God did not make a mistake when He made me. And sometimes that clarity comes in unexpected ways. You see, for years, I dreamed and talked to many people about wanting to have a podcast. I was told by several people, why would you want to do that? You don't need a podcast. You need a great job. You're too smart for that. You'll never make any money. What I wanted out of the podcast was to share my voice, my story, and my heart. But with a full-time job and everything else on my plate, it just didn't seem possible. And so I listened to the voices and the naysayers and the persuaders. You see, I had the desire, but I didn't think that I had the margin, the room in my life to take that on in a way that would make myself proud. And then one day, that job came to an end. I was let go. And let me tell you, that stung because it had never happened to me in 60 years of life. It felt like a door slamming in my face. But looking back at it now, I can see it so clearly. That closed door is what catapulted me straight into the thing that I had been dreaming about all along. What I thought was rejection turned out to be God's redirection. The job ended, and guess what? Suddenly, I had the time, the energy, and the space to finally create this podcast. And that's how Bounce Back Black Woman was born. And my friend, don't get it wrong. Closed doors do hurt. I mean, having a door slammed in your face is always going to hurt. But sometimes those closed doors are the clearest confirmation of your true calling and the clearest confirmation of what was not your calling. So let's break this down to the 4 ways that clarity builds confidence. Because confidence in your calling grows through that clarity. And clarity comes in these ways. The first way that clarity comes is by trying different things and stretching yourself. It doesn't just fall from the sky like a note drifting down that you open up and says, here's your clarity, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You gain clarity by doing things, trying things, new things, stretching yourself. I've worked in so many different industries, ministries, and even side hustles. Each one of them taught me something. Sometimes they taught me about what I love to do. Sometimes it taught me about what I never want to do again. Don't be afraid to experiment. Nothing's permanent. And even discovering what's not in your lane will bring you clarity. Number 2, assess and accept. And this is where tools like CliftonStrengths, also called StrengthsFinder, come in. I've mentioned them in a prior episode in greater detail. But tools like this help you name the places where you shine, and they help you discover the gifts that you've been given. But the real power isn't just in discovering them. The real power is in accepting them. Some of us spend years wishing that we had someone else's gifts. And my friend, I'm here to tell you that that is wasted energy. Confidence comes when you can laugh and say, that over there is not for me. I am not gifted to do that. And that's okay. Because while you're saying that, you can be celebrating the ones that are your gifts. So the second part of number 2 is to accept when doors close. Sometimes clarity doesn't come from what opens up for you, but it comes from what shuts. That job I lost, at first I saw it as a failure. It had never happened to me in 60 years of life. But in truth, it was a closed door sent to redirect me to the path that God had already planted in my heart. Revelation 3:7 says, what he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. So remember, my friend, closed doors are not punishment. They are protection and oftentimes preparation. Number 3, lean into the places where you shine. You see, resilience is not about being good at everything. None of us can be good at everything. It's about leaning into the gifts that God already gave you and finding and leaning into the things that you are good at. For me, those are things like teaching, speaking, encouraging, and leading. And the more that I build in those areas, the stronger and more confident I feel. So it's not bragging. It's recognizing and leaning in and stewarding the gifts that God has given you and the things that you are good at. because they all come from Him. There's a song, many of you may have heard of it. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. It's much like that song. You have to allow yourself to shine in the places where you've been gifted. And number 4, confidently share and grow. Clarity is not complete until you actually use it. Use it to share your strengths. Use it to teach others. Use it to know where you belong, to serve, to lead, or to mentor. And as you share, you grow, and others grow too. And your confidence grows. The more that you walk in your calling, the more secure you become in it, and the more good work you can do during your time on this earth. The Bible says in 2 Timothy 1:7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind." And that, my friend, is what confidence in your calling looks like. Not fear, not shrinking back, but walking boldly in power, in love, and with a sound, clear mind. And here's where ruthless intentionality comes in. Every single one of these steps, the trying, the assessing, the accepting, the leaning, the sharing, all of them require intentionality, not just drifting through, not waiting forever and ever, but actively doing and choosing. So remember, even closed doors require ruthless intentionality, because you can choose to sit in bitterness, replaying that rejection and that door closing over and over. Or you can choose to say, "All right, God, what do you want me to go and do next? Where do you want me?" That's what I did after losing my job. I chose with ruthless intentionality to see that closed door as my launch pad into this podcast. So, there's always a struggle behind the story. And the struggle that we don't often talk about when it comes to clarity about your calling is something called imposter syndrome. Many of you know that term, but if you don't, what it is that nagging voice that says to you in the quietest of moments, "You don't belong here. Who do you think you are? You're not qualified for this." That's beyond you. But clarity quiets that voice, because that voice is not of God. Because when you know your strengths, when you recognize the doors that God has closed and the ones that He's now opened for you, when you practice ruthless intentionality, you have a comeback for that lie and that voice. And here's what you say to it. Be quiet. I do belong. God made me for this. So, here's the takeaway, friend. Calling is confirmed by clarity, and clarity requires ruthless intentionality. It's about refusing to drift, choosing to act, and trusting that even closed doors can push you into your purpose. So here's a journal prompt for you. And as an aside, when something comes up from this journal prompt, because I'm sure that it will, I want you to email me. The email address is hello@bouncebackblackwoman.com. And let me know what revelation you've had. Here's the prompt. Which of these steps do I need to focus on right now? Trying something new? Assessing and accepting my strengths? Leaning into where I shine? Sharing boldly? Or trusting God with the doors that He has closed? Not many people are going to be able to journal about those questions and not have something unexpected come up for you. And I wouldn't be surprised if it makes you a little bit emotional when it does. So, remember, my friend, confidence in your calling doesn't come by accident. It comes from clarity. Clarity about who God made you to be, and the courage to live it out with ruthless intentionality. So if today's episode spoke to you, I want you to check the show notes or head over to bouncebackblackwoman.com to subscribe to my weekly insider emails, because that's where I share what's on my heart and more resources to help you keep growing. So let's keep going and keep bouncing back together. Well, that's it for today, my friend. I really hope this episode inspired, encouraged, or just plain comforted you. If so, please share it with a friend who might be struggling in her own healing journey. And if you take a moment to leave a quick review on Apple Podcasts, you'll help other women find encouragement through their heartbreak. Remember that God is holding your hand along this journey, and guess what? I'm holding the other. Life is short, so bounce back, Black woman.